morning and welcome to PhotoJoseph's Photo Moment, the first live daily photo show on YouTube every weekday morning, 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. If you're not watching live, you could be and should be, because that means that you get to do things like this, comment in the live chat, put @PhotoJoseph in front of it, and then talk about boobs, apparently. I don't really know what's going on there. I haven't read the rest of the question yet, but we're just going to pull that off screen just in case it's inappropriate. He meant noobs, apparently. Noob's question, Abhishek, that is quite all right. We will come to your question for sure. We're not going to do a separate breakout today because this is all going to be a big just discussion about GH5 training and stuff. I'm sure a lot of questions will come into that. We'll just push the other questions to the end. But that's about that. So, yeah, good morning, hello, welcome, and I am so excited that GH5 training is done. I got an email last night that the last rendered file with the clean audio and everything was pushed up. I got my versions for you guys. I got my versions to send to lynda.com/LinkedIn Learning. The whole thing is done. All I have to do now is upload another couple gigs of files, which will happen as soon as the show's over. I didn't want to start it this morning because, then that would interrupt the show. So as soon as this is done, I will start doing that. So what that means to you is, dear viewer, if you are watching this live and you have not yet bought the GH5 training, but you're thinking about it, sometime today, the last video will be uploaded, which means the price will go up to the full retail price. The pre-order discount will no longer be valid because all videos will be available for download. So if you're thinking about it, you got a matter of hours to finish that off. If you're watching this not live, sorry if you missed your chance, but I've given a warning or two. So the whole thing, let's just take a look. I want to talk about some of the experience with it. I want to talk about the chapter list and just show a couple of, we're not going to play whole videos, but I'll show a few little bits and pieces here and there because I think it'll be fun. I'm going to play for you my brief version, a brief intro. So we did an intro. I did an intro that was it was 3 minutes long, just under 3 minutes. And I actually have not added up the full duration of the entire course yet, something I do need to do. And it's going to be long. So whatever it is, whether it's 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours, it could easily be 4 hours. I thought to myself, well, a 3-minute intro, that's plenty short. And I showed it to my wife. She goes, this is great. It's too long, though. I'm like, it's under 3 minutes. And she goes, it's too long. So we made a 60-second version. I'm going to play that for you now. And then we made one that's going to be, that's cropped for the Instagram, right? So it's crop square. So you'll be seeing these everywhere. But I'm going to play for you oh, there's no fade from black on that. Oops. I'm going to play for you the shortened version right now. If I can figure out how to do this, let's make sure. I just realized I'm streaming these off of my hard drive across the network. I think this will work. Fingers crossed. Here we go. Hi there. I'm PhotoJoseph, a professional photographic storyteller, educator, a LUMIX luminary, and your host for this GH5 training course. I've worked hard to ensure that this course appeals to as broad of an audience as possible. We start with the basics and explore the camera body, buttons, and dials, especially focusing on the unique GH5 features such as the new joystick controller and the full-size HDMI port and cable holder. We cover exposure and motor drive modes, basics like ISO and white balance, and the quick menu and photo styles. We explore the autofocus system and look at separate options for still and video shooters. When it comes to video, we'll start from the basics, explaining the fundamentals of video resolutions and frame rates, and even move into the advanced Vlog-L upgrade. We'll look at the camera's audio recording and monitoring tools. Finally, we'll also look at the wireless functions of the GH5. The immense amount of power packed into this camera ensures that every photographer and cinematographer will find something to love. So join me on this journey through the inner workings of the GH5. And let's unlock the true value of this camera together. Woohoo! So there's the shortened version of the intro. I hope you like it. That gives you a teaser of all the things that are in there. We're going to take a look at the chapter list real quick here and see what is going on there. A couple of comments come up, though. I saw very interesting questions on here. John McCabe is asking, did you do a lot of grading, color grading, to the training video? The lighting looks fantastic. Why, thank you. As a matter of fact, other than a couple of mistakes, there's zero grading. I did all the setup in camera, set everything up ahead of time. I played with the look in camera quite a bit before we started rolling, really adjusting contrast, lighting, contrast and color saturation and trying to find the right balance so it had the look that I wanted. And obviously the background lights, the blue and the red, that sort of thing is all set up in advance. So no, it was all set up in advance so that no color grading was required. Because nothing was changing other than when I built a set on desk to do a demo with, there was no need I felt that they would be much more efficient to do the grading, build the look in advance. So no color grading. The only time there had to be color grading. My intro and outro, I used a teleprompter because I scripted those. Nothing else is scripted, right? It's all off the cuff, but the intro and outro is scripted. So I got a teleprompter for that, and my teleprompter takes up, I forget, reduces whatever, stop in half or 2 stops of light or whatever it sucks in. And I didn't compensate enough for it. And I should have redone my gray card reading, my meter on it, and I just didn't because I was, at the end, you're like, it's almost done, let me just finish this. And so I neglected to do that, so the footage is a little bit dark. But that was just a little bit of a lift in the grading, and so that was easy. And so what you just saw was one of the only graded shots, and all it was graded was just lift it up a little bit, make it a little bit brighter. But that's it. But otherwise, no. It was all, the look was completely designed in camera and then matched across multiple GH4s so that I could keep a consistent look. And yes, the whole thing was shot on GH4s because I only had one GH5 and I kind of needed that one on camera. So the whole thing was shot with GH4 cameras. When I have 2 GH4s, so most of it shot to camera. And when you see things that are more than 2 camera, usually those are pickups, so they were just shot afterwards. With a few exceptions, a couple times I did add in a the G7? I think that's right. Yeah, I used the G7 when I needed a third camera, but I think that's only for 1 or 2 videos. So yeah, you've got, it's one of the big challenges, one of the really fun, interesting challenges of doing this whole thing was obviously I'm on camera and I'm lit this way, and that's easy, right? You set up that lighting set. But then I need to put a camera, let's say, over my shoulder. And because there were times when, I'm sure you saw in there, we're looking at the LCD screen, just like you've seen on this show many, many times, where I'm capturing the LCD on the HDMI out, and so you're seeing a nice, clean, perfect view of the camera. But there's some times where that didn't work because either I wanted to show the audience touching the screen, so you need to have an actual camera on the screen, or there are certain things that don't go out the HDMI out, like the waveform and vector scope monitors. Those do not go out the HDMI. So to see them, you have to have a camera on the screen, right? And there are a lot of examples like that. So I've got another camera over my shoulder. Well, now that means I have to light from behind, but not cast shadows from me on the camera or whatever I'm showing. Very, very often I had a set on the table. So if this was my demo camera and I was, demoing something, okay, I'm shooting this object here. So that means that this object has to be lit. So now there's lighting coming from over there or maybe from over here. And all of this lighting I can't have showing up on the set. I mean, I could, but I didn't want to. So all that lighting is multiple angles, like 360-degree lighting without seeing the lighting. That was a challenge. That was a lot of fun, though. It was really a lot of fun. It was, it's part of the reason it took so long, because every setup took an incredible amount of time to figure out. So there you go. So there's that question. Let's see here. There was two people asked it, didn't they? Color grading. Let's see. Obviously, next question. The noob's question says, I'm not good at color grading, although I've been trying a lot. Fair enough. Which picture profile do you recommend if I want colors to be as it is in real life? Very good question. Use the natural profile. Think of natural as neutral. It's not the first profile that comes up. The first one that comes up is standard, I think, which is not the most neutral. If you're gonna shoot and just you want to start with as clean of an image as possible, shoot natural. Think natural, think neutral, neutral equals natural, natural equals neutral, and just remember that and you'll be good to go. So that's what I would recommend. Okay, Estro says my volume is a little bit low. I cranked it up just a tiny bit during the video there, so let me know if it's sounding better. Sergey is asking, what is the schedule for Lynda.com for the GH5 course? Very good question. So the course, this GH5 training course, is going on Lynda.com and LinkedIn Learning, because it's all the same thing now. And they are getting it today. They have a lot of the videos now. They'll get the last ones today. They said that they allow up to 6 weeks for Q&A, but it's usually a lot less than that. Because I'm not expecting any changes to come back, fingers crossed, if they want changes, I don't know what I'm going to do. I fully expect that it'll be up within a few weeks, but I can't promise or guarantee that at all. It's completely out of my hands, but that is what they've said. So they allow up to 6 weeks, but it probably is going to be significantly less than that. So that's my expectation and hope. I will, of course, let you guys know. And in case you're wondering what that's about, this training course is available for sale from me, meaning you could buy it and download it, but it will also be on Lynda.com. So if you are a Lynda member and you don't care about actually having your own copy of it, then don't buy it from me. Wait until it goes up on Lynda and your monthly subscription will allow you to view it there. So either way is good with me. Let's see here. Bart says, thinking about taking the GH5 to shoot 3 video projects in Texas next week and leave the Ursa Mini at home. Never thought I'd be considering that. That is awesome. Love to hear that. It's Ursa Mini is a great camera, and GH5 is too. So that is a superb thing to hear. I love it. Bart says, I may need to build the camera up a bit for professional appearances. Clients don't always like small cameras. You know, that's an interesting observation. I think that is very generally an assumption. We assume as photographers, because we're so used to going out with big, huge gear, that as our gear shrinks, we have this fear that our clients are going to go, what the hell are you shooting with? Or that you're going to go to, let's say, do a wedding. And the wedding's a great example for this. You show up to a wedding and you're shooting with your mirrorless camera, your little nice little compact body, and they're the father of the bride sitting there with a Nikon N8 bajillion Mark 37, and it's like this big, and they got a huge lens. And they're looking at you like, I thought you were the professional. And you're going, dude, I could outshoot you with my iPhone. Just because you have the money to buy big, ridiculous gear obviously doesn't make you a photographer. We all know this. But I think as a professional, it's easy to get nervous about that and to feel like, well, the client's going to think I'm showing up with amateur gear. I don't know what I'm doing. My take on that is, by the time the client has hired you, hopefully they know what to expect. They've hired you because they've seen your work, right? They've hired you because you have proven the ability to create amazing content, not because of the camera that you're shooting with. And if you show up on set with an iPhone and they go, WTF, and you say, look, everything that you saw, or a lot of what you saw, whatever, the stuff that you liked was shot on this camera, this is how I'm shooting yours. If they don't like that, that's kind of their problem, because they've hired you to create a job, to create content, and you are going to create it the way that you create content. That's kind of how I look at it. Now, you probably don't want to show up with an iPhone. That might be a little bit of an extreme example, but showing up with the GH5, if they ask, you can just say, this is the camera that does X, Y, and Z that nothing else out there can do, so move along. Maybe slightly more polite than that, but that's my approach. Okay. This is a very good question. Martin Pitt says, will you be adding any extra lessons in the future for the GH5? There's a couple of areas I would like a bit more help. So yes, my expectation is when the firmware update hits that we'll have the 400 megabit and we'll have the tethered shooting. 400 megabit, I don't know if there's really a video needed around that, but tethered shooting, absolutely. So I will, at minimum, be doing a video or two around tethered shooting. Those will get added to this course, so that will be available. You'll be available for download, no extra charge. That'll just go up there, and obviously I'll send out an email blast when that happens to all the people who've bought it, and those will get submitted to Lynda as well, and it'll be up to them if they add them. I can't promise they will, but they should. There's really no reason that they wouldn't add them. We've done courses before where they add new content to it, so yes, I will be doing more. I don't expect to do a lot more. You know, it's basically I will time it to the firmware updates. As far as completely additional, could have done it before, didn't do it before, training videos, no, I don't expect to do that. I outlined the course the way that I wanted it, and I think that it's all going to stay there as it is. I don't really expect to add anything additional to it that's currently already featured in the GH5, if that makes sense. So new videos will coincide with introduction of new features, and that should be it. But obviously on this show, I'll continue to talk about all kinds of stuff. So there's that. Let's see here. All right, is that, it looks like some more comments flowing down here. Here we go. Lauren says, can you comment on the relative photo quality of the GH5 over GH4? Yeah, it's better. Higher resolution sensor, larger, sorry, not larger, better processor, that's what I was looking for. Better, faster processor, can do more to the image, does more to the image. Better stabilization for low light photography, better low light ISO performance, better overall. So there's my comment on still photography comparisons. And Alexander says, when shooting video on a GH, everybody thinks you're just shooting photos. That can be a good thing. But if you add, I think someone else is saying, Trevor's saying, by the time you add a cage, mic, rails, and everything else, it gets pretty big. So if you really want to look like you're shooting video, then put a handle on it, put a boom mic on it. No one's going to question whether you're shooting stills or videos anymore. This is a GH4, by the way, in case anybody was wondering. It just happened to be sitting here. And Neil says, random lens question, do you tend to stay away from lenses with variable apertures? I do. Would you rather a fixed aperture, or do you not mind? I do prefer fixed aperture, which is actually why I said I probably would not be a fan of the 12 to 60 millimeter Leica lens that comes with the GH5. Well, now comes with the GH5 as an option. But boy, have I proved myself wrong with that, because I really, really like that lens. Even though obviously I wish it was a fixed aperture all the way through. It isn't, but you do get that considerable extra zoom range, and I really like it. But that is the only variable aperture zoom lens that I own and use. So yeah, normally I stick with the fixed ones. Okay, we'll come back to some of these other questions in a bit. Let's take a look at the training here. Let me open up this folder, And it's going to open. I think it's open. Oh yeah, it's thinking. We can switch over to this. Let's do this. Let me go this way. Let's go, oops, let's go that way, nice and big. And I should make this, hold on a second, sorry, I didn't plan this out. Let me make this view just a little bit bigger here. There we go. And now this is nice and easy to see what's happening. Boom. All right, here is the full list. So Chapter 1 is just the introduction. There's just 3 versions in there. You'll just get the big one, obviously, when you download. Chapter 2, the chapters aren't titled in my folders here, but camera body overview, articulating LCD and LVF, the new joystick, HDMI cable holder. Those are really old ones now. It feels like I recorded those a year ago. Chapter 3, introduction. Oh, you know what? Let's do it this way. Hold on. It'll be easier if I open up the spreadsheet. That's probably a better way to look at this. Then we can look at all the different titles and the chapter titles as well, because I haven't updated the website with all the latest titles. The titles are always tweaked as I make them, and I haven't updated that yet, so otherwise I would just take you to there. But you can take a look at my spreadsheet that has a massive amount of green on it right now, and actually you can see what is left for me to do. All right, here we go. This is fun. So this is the full spreadsheet of the whole project. You see all these greens. The reds over here means I haven't uploaded them yet, so that's what I'll be doing right at the end of the show today. So the last one's to upload. The few reds over here are the web page edition. So I am making a web page to go along with this. This is another one of today's projects, where you can, throughout the training, I'm referencing things. Always check out this website. There's another video for more information. You can download this here. All of that is going to be at a website that's photojoseph.com/gh5. Don't go there now. There's nothing there, unless you're watching this recorded after Monday, whatever the heck today is, July 31st, in which case that will be there. And that'll have all the extra stuff that I reference in. And that's going to be free to anybody to view. You don't have to have purchased the video to view that. And I'll have all kinds of goodies up there, including a downloadable settings file for my GH5, the way I have my GH5 configured. So that will be on there as well, along with a bunch of other information. So that's going to be a fun resource. So all the few red boxes that you see over here in the left-hand column are things that I need to add, like adding the link to the Color Grading Central website, adding chroma subsampling video explaining that, and so on. So anyway, let's go back to the top here. Chapter list, exploring the GH5 body, GH5 camera basics, GH5 alternative shooting modes. Let's make this a little bit bigger. GH5 menu system, autofocus system, video fundamentals, vlog upgrade, one of the hardest chapters to shoot. Capturing audio on the GH5, customizing your GH5, wireless functions of the GH5, and the conclusion, and then some more notes for me. So those are the grand collection of videos, how it was organized. And so if you looked at the original outline, things have changed a little bit from there, but nothing was taken away. If there was a video that you went, hold on, I was looking for that video, I was expecting that, and it's not there anymore, all that means is it got either rolled into another one or split apart into 2 other videos. A lot of that happened while I was progressing through this, but all the content is there. So there is nothing in the original list that is missing. If you don't see it, it just got moved to somewhere else, so just keep on reading through there. Let's see here. Let's take a look at a couple of videos. Let's grab something at random here. How about let's do, I'm not going to play the whole thing, obviously, but here, I'll show you an idea. Let's open one up on VFR, and let's see what this looks like. VFR, or variable frame rate, is the mode that you put your GH5 in when you want to shoot in slow motion. Depending on the frame size that you're shooting, whether you're shooting HD or Ultra HD, you'll be able to shoot up to 60 frames per second or all the way up to 180 frames per second. So one of the fun things, this is going to be like a Where's Waldo type of thing. So these were shot at different times of day throughout the whole 2 months or whatever it was that I was shooting this thing, which means a lot of weather had changed. Now, one of the views that you see over my shoulder that is always up here, this right here, this monitor right there, that is a live webcam of Mount Ashland, our local mountain. So you can see when I shot this, it was a rainy, cold, snowy, blistering day. It is going to be 110 degrees outside today, so that gives you an idea of the spread of time that we had in here. Plus the other difference that you'll see, well, I always change the main image here from chapter to chapter, sometimes video to video. So that's just, this is always my trip to Mexico here. So it's a little like subtle, it's that subliminal messaging. Just go to Mexico, come with me to Oaxaca. Just come join me, it'll be fun. A little subliminal messaging there. But then this curtain back here, that's a window. And so you'll see this curtain change in brightness. So this one was obviously shot in the evening or it was dark out, whereas the others, you'll see some where it's all bright and lit up, which is really funny. So you'll see how these work. You know, I'm going through here in the training and I go into the menu system, and so you'll see as I'm explaining the menu system in here. And then this one probably has some sample video as well. Let's see here, probably have some good sample video, my awesome slow motion shots of the snowboarder. There we go. So here, this one ends with this. So here we play that. Unless you have more light that you can add to the scene. But if you're shooting outdoor scenes in full sunlight, shooting sports, things like that, a lot of the kind of things that really lend themselves to slow motion video, then it usually isn't a problem. But it's just something to consider. You do need more light to shoot in slow motion than you do when you're not shooting in slow. So, little stuff like that, all kinds of, it's not just how the camera works, there's lots of tips in here. If you're gonna shoot like this, think about this. If you're doing that, you wanna consider that. Here's something you could do, but I recommend you don't. There's lots of different little bits and pieces in there, so it's not just, you know, a manual for the camera. It's really a guide on how to use it, which is cool, which is fun, makes it more fun. Let's see here, let's grab something else. What should we grab? Oh, the XLR adapter, so a little talk about this. So here's, I'm not gonna play it, but here we go. We have a big whole discussion about audio, talking about different audio things. So obviously I talk about external recording, the XLR1 adapter, different microphone options, all the different settings that show up when you do start playing with these, adding these bits and pieces onto there. Lots and lots of stuff like that. Let's see. Oh, my personal configuration. So here, this is a good one because this goes through an entire explanation. I've been working with my LUMIX GH5 for quite some time now, and I've really been able to get the custom function buttons set up exactly the way that I want. So this one, I really go through and I show the entire camera, all the customization that I've done, and explain why I've done it that way. And that camera profile will be uploaded, will be on that PhotoJoseph.com/GH5. So it's a balance of shooting both stills and video, because that's what I do, and the custom buttons are set up in a way that works for me. And that's really fun. And so when you go through this, it's not saying that you should customize yours this way. Absolutely not. This is saying this is how I customize mine, and here's why. So you can think about that and go, oh, okay, I get that. I don't do that, but instead I'm going to do this. And there you go. Now it's your GH5, which is one of the greatest things about these cameras, right? To be able to completely customize them, to make them your own. Super fun, super cool in there. All right, let me see what else is happening in the chat rooms in here. Here we are, here we go, there we go, there we were. Neil O'Higgins says, random lens question, oh no, we already answered that, sorry. Trevor says, I'm in a few GH5 Facebook clubs maybe, pages, groups maybe is what you mean, and I've been seeing people talking about a flaw with the battery grip. Oh, apparently when it gets loose, it stops recording and doesn't fail over to the body battery. So, we've played with this now. God, I'm trying to remember now. I know that we played with it because we've talked about the GH5 battery grip. It's the BG GH5 is the model number. We've talked about that a few times. Now I forget, but I'm pretty sure. God, I forget now what's supposed to happen when the battery rolls off of one, dies on one. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to hand it over, but maybe it only does it when it's dying. If you just yank it out, then it doesn't. And if the thing becomes loose, then yeah, that would be the equivalent of yanking it out. So that would be bad. So I would say then you want to make sure it's tight. It'd be unfortunate if that's a flaw in the design, that it's coming loose when it shouldn't be. I haven't shot with it enough, I suppose, to possibly run into that. Whenever I've had it on there, it's been on for a day and I've been shooting. But I suppose that's something to keep in mind, that you want to keep that thing nice and snug. Interesting. Very interesting for sure. Thomas says, use my GH5 today. The sunlight changed. What would you suggest if one would go automatic on the aperture? Manual is hard when you stand on the side with a microphone, one-man band. Right, so I wouldn't go auto, oh boy. So you've got lighting, spontaneous lighting changes that you need to adjust for in real time. Yeah, I guess really shooting shutter priority and letting it roll the aperture is kind of the only way to go. Unfortunately, that means your depth of field is going to change. But that's probably a minor trade-off. You could let it just change ISO, but then the image could get grainier. It depends on how low it goes. I probably would change aperture as long as if you get your subject right here, a change in aperture is going to be a significant, noticeable difference. If there's some distance between you and the subject, lighting changes, aperture changes subtly. It's not going to go from f2.8 to f16 all of a sudden. Subtle aperture changes, yes, you will have subtle depth of field changes, but combined with the lighting change, it may not be noticeable. So yeah, I would say you could do that. And remember that if you're shooting with one of the newer lenses, the GH5 does change aperture smoothly. We talked about that in a video here. We will link to that up here. We did a whole video about how the camera, the GH5, with certain lenses, adjusts aperture automatically and does it smoothly so you don't get stops, right? If you adjust it manually, you'll get a stop, but when it's smooth, it's stepless. And so you get those really subtle changes. And it does work very well. So yeah, that's probably the best way to go. I would say that would be the one to do. Oxharp says, what's your take on buying second-hand used lenses? There's a Nocti for sale. What should I be looking for? Oh, that's a good question. I'm a huge proponent of used, absolutely, as long as it is in good shape. And so the one, if you're buying it in person, then it's as easy. You can look at the glass, you can see that it is not scratched, you can look for any physical damage. If you see a dent in it, then that's a bad, I wouldn't buy it, just because that means that it's been hit pretty hard and something could have been knocked out of alignment. Unless they've got proof that it went in for service and was either realigned or was checked and alignment was verified, if you see physical dent on it, physical damage, I wouldn't buy it just because the risk is too high that it's out of alignment. This is the problem with buying online, buying used stuff online. If you're just buying it from a random person on eBay, is you don't know. So having some kind of money back guarantee would be helpful. Knowing that you're buying from a good buyer who's got a really good reputation. Don't buy from someone who just set up their account yesterday. Or buy refurbished. Buying used from the manufacturer refurbished is often a good option. Actually, now that I've said that, I don't actually know if Panasonic does that. It's a good question. I have no idea. Buying from reputable stores like B&H, places you know that you can return things if they're bad, is definitely a good idea. I think buying used is a great option. You just do have to be a little bit careful with it. That's the problem. But otherwise, as long as it's a clean lens, well taken care of, doesn't have scratches on it, and by all means, go. It's like it's better than buying a used car. It does lose a lot of value as soon as you drive it off the lot, but as long as you take care of it, it's as good as the day it was purchased. So, yeah, I would highly recommend buying used, but have extra precaution, more than you might buying other stuff used. Carlos says, great course. Excellent. Watched it all in one sitting. Whoa. Vlog part helped a lot. Good. I'm not a sound guy, so the sound chapter was amazing as well. Fantastic. Thank you, Carlo. I appreciate that. Do me a favor and leave that review or something along those lines on the page itself. Those reviews really help tremendously, so I appreciate that. Martin says, I fixed the ATEM. Was it a corrupted PNG in the end? I do believe so. I ran all my PNG files through a downscaler app, like a compression app, so they generated all new files, and I loaded those up this morning. They have no problem. So hopefully that's problem solved. Carlos says, I'm planning to order the Ninja. Very cool. Do you know what bitrate does it record to ProRes compared to 150 now in the 400 future? So you're talking about the internal. ProRes has its own bitrate definition. That's not defined by the Ninja. It records in 3 flavors of ProRes, all 3 flavors. There's the LT, which is light. There's ProRes, what is it called? 422 and high? Crap, and I forget what the 3 are. It's LT, light, 422, and one other one. And I think the 422 is the middle one. No, maybe, there's 3. Ryan, grab me the Ninja, will you? It is in the green bag that's sitting on the couch right behind you. We'll look it up. I honestly don't remember offhand what they are. But those bit rates, you'll have to look those up online. You can look those up on Wikipedia or something, thank you, sir. And it'll tell you right there what it is. So let me see. I'll fire this thing up and we'll check it. Let's see here. What else is going on? What SD card changes and improvements are expected in upcoming firmware updates? There's no SD card changes. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Lawrence. Please clarify what you mean. Okay, ProRes HQ, that's the highest quality one, and then 422 is the middle, and LT. This does not show, I'd plug this into the screen, but the UI wouldn't come out, so I'm just looking at it on here, and this is the old Ninja Assassin, but the Ninja Inferno has the same thing. It does tell you the difference in recording time. So an LT, with whatever's left on this card, I have no idea what it is, but I could record for 3 hours and 18 minutes at LT, 2 hours and 18 minutes at 422, or 1 hour and 32 minutes at HQ. So pretty significant differences in the bit rate in there. I usually record at 422. If I know that I'm going to be doing a lot of grading, really pushing the files, I'll record at HQ. I almost never record at LT because you can notice artifacting. LT is more like an offline codecs. I don't record on that unless it's truly like a backup to a backup file, and I just want to save space. So yeah, so there you go. So hopefully that is helpful. But for the actual bit rates, you'll have to look that up. You'll find that on Wikipedia or on Apple's website. SR Digital says, I appreciate you've done videos like this before. You're welcome. From your experience of this series and the way you've done it by yourself and what response as purchases you've had, would you do it again? Well, that remains to be seen. I mean, I've had very good pre-orders. I've been quite happy with the pre-orders. We'll see how it does on Lynda. That's going to be the telltale. I won't be able to answer that question truly for probably 6 months. But after that, then I will know a lot more about it overall. But so far, it's been good. I certainly haven't made enough money yet to justify the time I've put into it, but the money for this comes on the long tail. This is all, as it plays out over. A lot of people don't buy things when they're not done. I totally get that. And then, of course, a lot of people waiting for Lynda. So we'll see how it shows up on there. So yeah, we'll see. I think so. I mean, the experience was very good overall. It took longer than I expected, but I don't see why I wouldn't do it again, unless sales like basically stop or Lynda sends me the first check and it's for $1. Then we've got a problem. But yeah, that's I think so far. I think it's going to be good. I think so. John McCabe says, what is your favorite interview lens? Main need is to blur the background as much as possible. Well, then shoot with a Nocticron. Get that nice tight shot and you can open up to f1.2. This whole course, this was actually shot with the Nocticron. The camera is quite far away because I wanted to have a wide view of the table, but I also wanted to have the shallow depth of field to make the background look nice and soft. And so let me think. The camera would have been 15, 20 feet away. Ryan, what do you think? How far is that? I think that's 20 feet, 15. I'm terrible at judging. Oh, he's thinking 25. Hey, if you do me a favor, the tiles on the floor are exactly 1 foot. Go count the tiles between where I stand and the camera, because it's still set up. So he's going to go do that for me. He'll tell me exactly what it is. Anyway, so it's shot. It's not wide open. It's not 1.2. I think it's 1.4, if I remember right. It was like 1.2 is too shallow depth of field. And even on this, if you look closely, you can see that the camera is actually slightly out of focus, which is fine. I wanted to have, and look at this crisp edge between my shoulder and the background there. It's beautiful, and it almost looks comped, but it isn't.
The way that I want today.
That is truly shot that way, but there was a very narrow, shallow depth of field plane. So if I opened it or stopped it down a little bit, maybe I could have gotten that in focus. The background would have been slightly less blurry, but I really like the look overall. And I had, when I need to do a close-ups of here, of course, there's a camera pointing at that camera as well, so that didn't matter. Ryan's saying it's around 20, so close enough. Around 20, give or take. Thank you, Ryan. So that's the lens that I use for that. If you got closer to your subject, right, if you're doing a head and shoulder shot, obviously you'd be physically closer, and the background would be even more out of focus. Honestly, if you were to shoot it wide open at 1.2 and get closer, it would be too shallow depth of field. As the subject moved a little bit, they would go in and out of focus, which you don't want. So your key there to get that bokeh background in an interview would be to get close to the subject and have the background as far away as possible, and then find an aperture that gives you enough room where they can be moving a bit and still be in focus, but that background is obviously far enough away that it's out of focus. So there you go. That's I would start with the Nocticron. That would be my starting point. That said, if that focal length is what you like, that 42.5 millimeter, so 90 mil equivalent or 85 mil equivalent, the cheaper 42.5, the 1.7. That might be shallow enough depth of field, and it's a way cheaper lens, so you could consider that as well. But this whole thing was shot on the Nocticron. Okay, Bart says, I know I asked this 2 weeks ago and missed last week, so I don't know if you mentioned it, but did you get a chance to take a look at that crop focal length doc? I'm sorry, Bart, I have not. Ryan, do me a favor, pull that document up so I can look at it. I didn't, Bart, I'm sorry, I will. He's gonna find that for me. Tyler says, I second Lawrence's question about SD cards. Okay, so now I need to know what the question actually is. What SD card changes? So again, I don't understand the question because the firmware update's not going to make any change to the SD card itself. So I don't know what you mean by that. So please clarify. SRO Digital says, isn't the top quality ProRes HQ? Yeah, we got that. Sorry, I'm a little behind here, so yes. Okay, Bart says, if you're still doing your SD card test, I will. You should take a look at the Angelbird V90 cards. I'm curious about them. Angelbird, I haven't heard of those. Okay, Ryan, please write that down. Angelbird V90, we will look at those. Dave Del Studio says, put the GH5 training on my Dropbox account. Great to have access to it for my phone when I'm out learning how to use the camera. Perfect, look at that. There you go, stick it on Dropbox and just keep it private. But that's awesome. That's a great way to get access to it whenever you want. DTech Logic asking when it will be available on lynda.com. We talked about it already, but basically they say up to 6 weeks, but it should be a lot less than that. I'm guesstimating closer to 3 weeks, but that's a guesstimation. I have zero control over it. So I expect it to go up pretty quickly because I don't expect any changes to come back from it. Carlo Bot says, so the Inferno is completely different quality than the internal? Yes, that's good to know. Thanks, we'll leave the review for sure. Thank you, Carlo. Yeah, because remember when you're recording internally, it's MPEG. No matter the bit rate, it's still recording to MPEG, so there's that MPEG compression that has to happen. ProRes is also compressed, but it is a much less compressed, it's a much larger file, it's a much cleaner compression. Yeah, if you're looking for the ultimate in quality, then you want to record externally to the Ninja or another device that records to ProRes. Blackmagic's recorders also record to ProRes, or DNx HD if you're cutting on Avid, and those will both give you the top quality of recording quality. There you go. Marvin says, you point out some bugs with Affinity. Oh, yeah. Would be interesting if you provide a single point when Affinity fixes them. Yeah. I haven't even talked to them yet about the bugs. Hopefully they'll find them and figure that out. We'll have a new discussion about that. Joshua says, it looks like 4K ProRes LT is 340 megabit. Oh, thank you. 422 is 489 megabit, and HQ is 734 megabit. Excellent. Thank you, Joshua. So that's, yeah, those numbers are up on screen. That's a lot. That's a lot of megabits. That's why the files are big. It's a huge file. But there you go. That's where you get your highest quality. Thank you for looking that up and sharing that. I appreciate that. Trevor says, honestly, everything I looked at makes it look as though the existing SanDisk Extreme Pro cards will handle the firmware update just fine. Those cards have a constant write rate of 70 to 75 megabit for you. So what we've been told by Panasonic is that if you're going to record at 400 megabit for the new update that's coming, for the SD cards, you want the UHS 2 cards. Those are the ones that, I don't have one, but those are the ones that have, this probably doesn't have a card in it, doesn't, anyway, that have 2 rows of pins. So if you look at your SD card, most normal cards have 1 row of pin. You look at the UHS 2 cards and they have 2 rows of pins. That second row, whatever it does, is the indicator that it's the faster read-write card, and that will handle the 400 megabit. That is what Panasonic's official recommendation is. Obviously, I don't have the 400 megabit. I haven't run any tests. The standard UHS 1 cards have been working fine for me with the current firmware, but obviously I don't have the 400 megabit. So if you're buying a card today, buy UHS 2. For your GH5, buy UHS 2. Just make it easy, buy UHS 2. Lawrence says, RE the SD card. Oh, thank you. I think a possible 400 megabit update might be what I'd heard. Okay, right. So that's the bit rate. That has nothing to do with the card itself other than the fact that you need a faster card to capture it. The firmware update that will come, whatever, summer, fall, whenever the heck it is that Panasonic says it's going to ship, will give you 400 megabit option. Doesn't mean you have to record at 400 megabit. It is an option, so you get a higher quality image, and that will require the faster SD cards. So that's, if that was your question, then hopefully that has answered that for you. Okay. All right, cool. Love the SanDisk Pro cards, not had any issues. Excellent. Yeah, SanDisk makes good cards. Okay, super. I think we covered all that in there. Let's take a look at one more video in here, and let's see. Let's close that one. Let's look at one more. Let's grab something from, let me show you some of the app stuff. This is kind of fun. Let's see here. Controlling the GH5 from the app. I don't know why that doesn't have a thumbnail. Hopefully that doesn't mean it's a bad file. It might. Ooh, that might be a bad file because it's not opening. Okay, I'm gonna have to recopy that one. Oh, nope, here it comes. Oh, it's just coming over the server, so it takes time. All right, let's see what this one says. Let's talk about how to control your camera from your iPhone or Android phone using the Panasonic app and a Wi-Fi connection. So here you go. Look, it's later in the spring or summer. Look, there's no snow on the mountain, but it looks nice outside. So this is fun because I do a little split screen in here. So there's the whole GH5 setup itself. So we go through that. There we go. And then we do a split screen on here. One of them, that will establish the connection. So I'll go ahead and tap on remote operation. So we do a lot of that, showing how those things all work together, connecting to the GH5 and the Wi-Fi, all that good stuff. This is all covered in here. And then we talk about things like, let's go forward a little bit. Here we go. Tap on the lens in the front, and it focuses on that. We get nice little touch indicators on there. So that's one of the things that we can do here. Now let's take a look on the right-hand side. Starting in the right center, you'll see the camera icon. I can push that to take a picture. So all kinds of fun stuff. See, tons of great information. Excellent. Well, I hope that little teaser was enough to encourage you, if you haven't yet purchased it, to think about it. And remember, I've said this before, even if you're not shooting with the GH5, if you have any other Lumix camera, this is still probably 80% valid, 75, 80%, something like that. Because there's so much information here that applies to all Lumix cameras, and then obviously there's a bunch of stuff that is unique to the GH5. So even if you're just any other Lumix shooter, you might want to consider the course. Just look at the chapter list. Look at the chapter list and decide. And if you want to get it at the discount, get it before later today when all those videos are uploaded. Okay. Oh, one more question came in. APN TV says, been a bit busy the last few weeks. Have I missed any discussion on the solar eclipse? No, you have not missed anything. We are, that actually just got scheduled. Let me look at my calendar because I don't remember when we did. We decided what day that was going to be. The fellow that's going to come on and discuss that with me, we just got him on the calendar. I don't remember if it's this week or next week. I kind of think it's this week. waiting for my calendar to launch. SRO Digital asks how I became a Lumix luminary. Persistence, contacts, talking to the right people, nurturing the potential relationship over the course of a year and change, and finally got invited. That's all. It's basically, there's no magic, nothing. Just relationships. That's really what it comes down to, is relationships. Okay, let's see here. Looks like it's not this week. Oh, it's not. I guess I didn't put it on my calendar. Crap. Okay, that means I have to look it up on the. I have to look it up on my email. It might be this week. Wednesday is in my head for some reason. But just keep an eye on the show schedule. We will, we'll obviously announce it in advance because we'll know what it is, and yeah, we'll have that discussion up soon. So that's going to be, in case you're wondering what the heck I'm talking about, I've got a photographer coming on who we're going to have a chit chat with, who has done some amazing aurora borealis photography, and he's planning to shoot the eclipse and has done a bunch of research around shooting that. I have not, because I'm not going to be here. Planned a vacation on the other side of the world at the exact wrong time. So I'm not going to be here for the eclipse, so I'm not going to be able to shoot it, so I don't know anything about it. But we have someone coming on the show who does. Beardy Faces, do you think the petitions about new features of the GH5 and G80, G85 will have an effect with Panasonic? All I can tell you in regard to any petition, any online thing, is they are aware, they see these things, they do not respond to them because that just stokes the fire, and there's absolutely zero guarantee of what will or won't be included. Everything gets passed along, everything goes through levels of discussion. Some things make it to the top, some things do not. But other than that, if there's something you want, if there's a feature you want, by all means, make as much noise as you possibly can about it. That noise does get heard, and if enough people make enough noise, then it gets heard even more loudly. But if you see something you want, ask for it in any way, shape, or form you can. On my comments, on forums, just get it out there, get the word out there. So that's all I can tell you. Trevor says, I won every single category in every photo competition for 3 years straight. He's a legend. Right. Yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, I see the luminary thing. Yeah, please. APN TV, great stuff. I head out to the U.S. at the end of next week. Oh, you're coming here to shoot it. That's cool. Very cool. Missing the eclipse, way to schedule. I know, G-Diggity. I have no excuse. I didn't even, okay, look, I scheduled my summer holiday in January or something like that, a long time ago. Not like the eclipse wasn't already known, obviously, but I didn't even know about it until I was sitting with this camera club I was presenting to, and they started talking about the eclipse, and I went, sorry, what? Eclipse? No excuse. I'm sorry. It's not my thing. It's not what I normally shoot. That kind of, just leave me alone. John Morby says, picked up the 100 to 400 last week. eBay for 1K, which is a bargain. Wow, I guess so. Getting some gorgeous shots with it. Fantastic. It's a great lens. Dave Del Studio says, I see Rode have released a Pro Plus with features like auto on off. Any plans to review one? Why not? Sounds like a good plan. Dave Del Studio, the Rode Pro Plus. Okay. I will add that to my list of things to look at. Now that I've done this whole GH5 thing, I can finally break set. That's going to happen tomorrow. Today I got to work on the whole webpage. We're going to break set tomorrow, rebuild the studio, and I can actually start doing shows out there again. Get us out of this room. Be good, especially since it is already baking in this room. It's only 80 degrees outside, but it is supposed to be 105 or something today. It's supposed to get up to over 110 this week. I cannot be in this room when it's that hot outside. This room is a furnace. It turns hot very quickly. So shooting out there will be a good idea. All right, guys, that's it. We're going to cut it off there and move along to something else. Hey, you know the routine. Thank you very much for watching. Thumbs up this video if you're enjoying it. If you're watching live right now, do me a favor, run down there, hit that thumbs up, jam that button. You know what they say, all the YouTubers are like, jam the button, hit it hard. Just, gently, you can gently click it. It's fine with me, it doesn't have to be hard. Gently click that thumbs up button, I would appreciate that. If the video totally sucked today, you can do this, but tell me why. I had someone post on a comment the other day saying that I'm totally incoherent. I thought, well, isn't that nice? So I checked out his channel. He has no videos and 1 subscriber, which is probably himself. Thank you for the feedback. I hope you're enjoying your live show. I'm not saying I'm the most coherent person in the world, but totally incoherent? Come on, people, please. Can't win them all. All right, guys, hey, thanks again. Again, thumbs up this video. If you haven't already subscribed, please just subscribe. Hit that little bell button so that you get the notifications when we do go live. And if you haven't got the GH5 training, run, don't walk, get it quick because the price is about to go up. And if you're watching this not live and it's already up, sorry you missed out, but that's the way it rolls sometimes. Take care of yourselves, everybody. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.